Great. So thank you all for joining this Navigating Your Career, Get in the Driver's Seat session with myself and Ayesha. I am Shilpi Nanda. I am a Customer Success Manager at Palo Alto Networks. I've been with Palo for over a year now. However, I've been with the tech industry for over 15 plus years. And as I mentioned, I've got my colleague here as well, Ayesha Mahmood. Ayesha, over to you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much, for attending this session. I'm really excited today to talk about, navigating your career with Shilpi. I'm uh, the director of engineering on a central UX team at Palo Alto Networks, and I joined a year and a half ago. Before that, I worked for Apple for roughly 7.5 years. And before that, I was on the East Coast working for various different companies. I've always been in the engineering field for roughly 16 plus years. And I'm passionate about giving back, anything that I learned throughout my career journey, sharing that with all the other wonderful women and men. Um, so having said that, I guess we can dive right in. Um, so taking charge of your career, getting in the driver's seat, what does that mean? Um, without trying to give my age away, I'll say when I graduated in X year, I had no idea what that means. I couldn't. I was very short-sighted, I would say. I was thinking of my next steps. I guess majority of us try to think, what's next? What do we want to do next? And so I didn't have any idea that I should think big or think 10 years ahead. um, so I really learned that over the years, that thinking big, you must have a career vision, and that vision should be created without any obstacles, um, or minusing all the unknowns. So that's like your passion. Where do you want to be? So when I really learned it, I was like, what are my strengths and my gifts? Because I was focusing more on my weaknesses. What am I bad at? I guess naturally human beings want to, think about, okay, what do I need to improve on? What am I bad at? So I started thinking about my strengths and gifts, and I attended a bunch of conferences, and this is an idea that I got from there. And when I started thinking about my career vision, I thought I want to be on an island, and I want to, maybe like sip pina coladas all day long and just enjoy and relax. Um, so I was like, okay, how can I get that kind of money that I will be on an island, or maybe I can own that tiny little piece of island, 1 or 2 acres. Um, so I started thinking, and that's how I formed my career vision. So I'm just giving you tips on how to think big. Remove from your mind any obstacles, anything that information that you might not have yet. So once you have that career vision, convert that vision into actionable, tangible items. So how do I get to my, island? It's not possible right now. So definitely I need to be at a level where I'm making tons of money, or saving, or having some investments that I can have some passive income. So from there, I created little tasks for myself that, okay, maybe I need to be in leadership. Maybe I need to look at the C-suite. And so I'm just giving you examples, and your career journey might be very different career vision. Some people are happy in less, some people are happy in more. So based on that, you will determine actionable, tangible items. um, and you'll determine those as a year. Once you have like a 20-year or whatever career vision, then you'll break it down to 10, 5, 1, 6 months, and then weekly, and then daily. So you will really do this in a Google Doc. Okay, so I really believe in visuals. I believe that the day you put something on a paper in front of you, you can start thinking about, is this really what you want? When it's in your head and it's not connected visually in front of you, it's really, you know, it's like, you don't think of it every day, but if it's visually in front of you, and every performance cycle you can look at it and say, hey, am I going in the right direction, it'll be very helpful. um, so, build a variety of skills. I didn't, as a software engineer, I focused too much on my, tech stack, JavaScript, Java, C++. But when I say build a variety of skills, I'm talking about all skills. And as you grow into leadership and management, you realize that soft skills are more important, than your technical skills. And don't get me wrong, technically being a ninja is very important, but soft skills become more obvious at that level. But they are needed at all levels, of course. And then think of your career as a jungle gym. Don't think of it as a ladder, right? Think parallel moves, think transitions, think, being creating a variety of skills. Don't wait for your manager to provide you growth opportunities. Don't, plug yourself into projects. Like, I have one-on-ones with people that I'm either mentoring or I'm getting mentored by or coached by, and within the company, and I try to plug myself and have a quick value add that expands your visibility, that expands your network. So identify your accelerators and your roadblocks. This is very important because I feel like we only think about obstacles and roadblocks because that's where we need problem solving. But your accelerators are really important too, because your accelerators are the ones that are going to give you headway. So having that is very important. I remember I was at a conference once and a lady said, whenever you want to do something, there's an itty bitty shitty committee in your head that's going to say, no, no, you can't do this, or there's this problem that you cannot overcome. So be mindful of that committee. So with that, I know I went a little over time. Over to Shilpi to talk more about what are the other things that you can do to get in the driver's seat.
Great, thanks, thank you, Aisha. Um, so, no, some great points. So from my side, I feel that personal branding is one of those key areas of one of the key important areas to focus on in your career journey. What is personal branding? It is, as we know, it's just the process of actually creating an identity for yourself, and it is super, super important because your perceived value is directly linked to your brand. So it is very important to understand, what is your brand? What are your core values? What are you known for? What you want to be perceived as. Means, are you known for your positivity? Are you perceived as, having integrity? You're seen as a credible person? And and it's not just about yourself, about knowing your brand, but do others see same as you? Do people think as you, as that person, as you think of yourself, as as having those brand items? Now, in order to understand that, it is very important to for you to look inwards and outwards. When I say inwards, to identify your brand, it's important to look at your core values. What are the things you relate to? Look outwards. Look at things like, different professional sites and LinkedIn, things like StrengthsFinder. Ask for feedback from people to understand, what actually is your brand, how people perceive you, and how you can build on that brand. And it's also not just about knowing your brand. It could also be about, what you want your brand to be, what you want to be known as, right? So for that, just look around you, see, look at some of the people who inspire you. Look at LinkedIn, look at people, what is, you know, people with the kind of skills you want, people, the brand you're aspiring to be, like, people who are the role models for those brands. What qualities or skills they have, you know, what are people saying about them? And then try to incorporate that in your, daily dealings. Also, like Aisha mentioned earlier, it's not just about obstacles and looking at your weaknesses. I think the key here is to look at your strengths. Identify what your core strengths are. So rather than looking at your weaknesses and saying, okay, this is my weakness, this gap I need to build, but instead of that, look at your strengths because they are already inherent in you, and build on those. And of course, make yourself visible. It's important to network, volunteer, stay engaged, so make your brand visible and expand your horizons. Another thing I see, we did touch upon the getting feedback about your brand or getting feedback about yourself. But why what's the purpose of getting feedback? Feedback actually helps you to achieve your goals. Achieving goals requires frequent targeted feedback. So the more input you get from the others, about yourselves, about the quality of work, the more you'll have a better understanding and clarity in terms of what areas you need to improve on. It is very very easy to have a view about ourselves, like we have a certain perception about ourselves, but then we have a limited view. So it's always good to have an external view, external feedback, so you get that completed picture. It's always a good practice to ask for feedback as well, because it actually increases your sense of status, certainty, and control, autonomy. When I say sense of status, it makes you, when you ask for feedback, it actually makes you appear as like when you're being more curious. You're open to learning, you're willing to grow. It increases your sense of certainty because you are get a clear sense of your performance goals and where you need to improve. So targeted view. And then increased sense of control because it is your choice to ask for the feedback. So asking feedback is good. And don't look at feedback as being a criticism. People tend to have this negative feeling around feedbacks. Look at it more as like an opportunity to learn and grow. And like I said, it's good to have that proactiveness around it. So proactively ask for feedback rather than waiting for people to give you feedback. Ask for it. Make it a habit of asking feedback and then reflecting on it, and identify the opportunities, based on the feedback. Look at the opportunities, what you need to change, whether it's like changing in certain behaviors. And then based on that, maybe take into account one or two things which you need to do more or do less, and then try to apply that in a specific period of time, let's for a week or two, so that it becomes a habit. And also make sure that the feedback is not just limited one or two persons. It's always good to have multiple data points. Look for feedback from outside of your team, outside your of your department, organization, even outside your company. You can ask for feedback from friends and families. It is that everybody has a different perception about you, and of course people have different experiences and different takes on things. So when you get that feedback from multiple different sources, you get a complete view and complete picture, which always, which will help you to move forward and improve in your career. So always good to have a 360-degree feedback. Again, receiving feedback is great, but giving feedback is good as well. So it is give and take. However, when you're giving feedback, be mindful of that people, how people perceive the feedbacks. The feedbacks could be, um, usually it has got that negative connotation around it. People get very defensive, judgmental. You see that as criticism. So when you're giving feedback, make sure you are aware of that flight and fight response and reactions. So use positive and encouraging language. State what people have done, the person has done right, and follow with the areas of opportunity. So I'll say, take that build on think about approach. So build on what are their strengths, what they're doing well, and think about what they can improve on. And also make sure that the feedback is timely as well, because if it's not timely, then it won't be of much value. So I guess over to you, Asha. Next one.
Awesome. Thank you, Shilpi. That's amazing. And don't give feedback when you're angry. I've done that and it does not work very well. Um,
True.
so The next topic is managing up, down, and sideways. This, leans a little bit into my point that don't wait for your manager to approach you and give opportunities. I think I will talk in terms of when you are in a job, and let's say your manager is giving you projects and you have one-on-ones. Make those very meaningful. Understand your company's goals, understand your team's goals, understand your manager's goals, and then align those with your goals, right? So that's why it's somebody said to me, hey Aisha, people choose company, or the people choose team, they don't choose the role. So you when I was working for Apple, I thought I was, working for the greatest company on the planet, and we were, changing the world for better. And so that's the kind of vision, if it aligns with your vision and the values of the company, if they align with yours, that's a better environment for you. So once you are in that environment, and I know when we are just starting off our career journey, we may not have that many choices to choose, but as we grow in our career, we should become picky. So because having a positive environment where you can thrive, is very important. So align your goals, um, communicate often and clearly. So communicate to your manager what your needs are, and communicate to them what your strengths are, and ask them if you can help. um, there's no faster way to grow than to understand your manager, their pain points, and take that stuff off of their plate. That way you become dependable, you add quick value, and you get your goal as well. Be comfortable with the uncomfortable. I was a kind of person who likes structure, and I did not thrive in chaos. Right now my job is all about chaos. So how did I make that journey? I started to become comfortable with the uncomfortable. I started to think in the moment that, okay, what do I have control over? Let's focus on that first so I can calm down. And then after that, I'll approach, what I don't have control over, and try to see who can I tap into, who is in my network can help me solve that problem. Add surprise and delight to your work. So we this was a phrase used a lot at Apple, which actually means that you do your job, to the best of your abilities if you've given a task. And after that, think of how you can add some surprise and delight. How can you make it even better? How can you add some surprise that people weren't expecting from you or expecting from that task, but it was something that you did as a value add. And remember, there are only so many hours in the day, so you won't be able to do that with all projects. So remember the main top priority goals on your team. You can do that, this kind of surprise and delight for those. So the only thing constant is change. I like to say this because change is good. When we have fear, and we have like these uncertainty feelings in our heart, that means that we are becoming uncomfortable. Now we need to be comfortable with that. And that means that we're growing. So nothing comes without fear, and without, some strong feelings generating in yourselves. So be very self-aware. Um, Provide value add to cross functional teams. This is very important. I put it here because when I was starting my career, I just wanted to sit behind a black screen and not interact with people. So that's why I became a backend engineer. No hating on the backend engineers, but I loved it. I realized that today in any job you cannot get away with not interacting with people. May you be a backend engineer, full stack. So real quickly start engaging with cross-functional teams. Ask them what their pain points are. For engineers, it might be QA. For some other function area, it might be another function area where you overlap or connect. So try to go outside of your own functional area and reach out to people, learn about what they're doing. This helps you build your network, which Shilpi is going to talk on the next slide, so I'm not going to give away too much. And then someone had a very good point: find yourself a coach. So people see it as a luxury or nice to have that you have a mentor, coach, or a sponsor. But if your career vision is really big, then I have not seen anybody make it to the C-suite without a mentor or a coach. Almost all people, as soon as they get to senior director level, they have a coach or they have a mentor. And this is something that I learned over the past few months, that you could actually have a sponsor, which is a little different than a mentor and coach. This individual has, a good network, so VP and above, and they are actually vested in your success. They know that you are a very ambitious and thorough and detailed individual, and they are vested in your success, and they can connect you with the right projects and provide those opportunities for you to grow. So, with that, I will hand it over to Shilpi. I do want to wrap up by saying, so managing your manager and managing, up, down, sideways just means being aware of your surroundings, that you are part of a larger ship. So don't just focus on yourself and get so narrow-minded, but be like open and think of people around you.
Great. Thank you, Asha. Some great points there. Just to wrap up, we've this slide, we're just going to highlight some of the key takeaways, some of the actions you can actually act on once you leave this conference. Um, as a first step, I'll say, create a career plan with a clear vision. Find your North Star, what your goal is, and start working towards that. Um, Make sure you sign up for a mentor, as Aisha mentioned. A mentor could be internal or external. It can be from within your organization, but you can also seek out mentors from outside of your organization, or outside of your immediate circle as well. You can leverage LinkedIn or other professional sites for that. Make sure we talked about the brand, so make sure you know your personal brand and what your strengths are. There are many apps and tools out there which can help you identify that, besides things we already talked about. But especially in terms of strengths, you can use things like Clifton Strengths Finder, and there are other tools as well. So identify your strengths and then build on those. Build on those. Once you know your strengths, update your resume and reflect your new findings. Make sure you highlight your strengths uh, there. And feedback, we talked about feedback, I think, which is very, very key, and it has worked really well in my life in terms of my career progression, as well as improving, for me to improve and learn as a person as well. So ask a few people feedback. Ask things like what to do more of, what to do less of, what are you doing, great, what you're doing not so great, and how you can improve on that, and expand your network. You can make promise to yourself, maybe to attend one networking event per month. There are many websites which actually, it can be something which can be organized by your organization, your friends, or or people in your immediate circle. But then there are some you know external websites like Meetup and City Social, different things which you can leverage to network. And also make sure, like Aisha mentioned, be comfortable with the uncomfortable. So put yourself out there. you know volunteer for something outside of your comfort zone. You can even volunteer for conferences like this. So put yourself out there. Make yourself comfortable with the uncomfortable, and you'll see yourself thriving and moving forward. So as I said, just a few points here. This is not an exhaustive list, of course. Just to give, this is just to give you some starting points to start driving and navigating your career. So yeah, but all the best, and I think that's it. So thank you so much, and we're open to any questions if you have any. And before we do that, Aisha, any closing comments, actually?
I just want to share something personal from my life. I think being in the right environment is very important. Um, you want to stay motivated, right? Especially if you're an ambitious person, which means that you are really committed to your dreams and your career vision. Um, know the environment you're in. Not every environment is meant for everyone. So I was living in Pakistan. I was the tallest girl in my class. That was my weakness. I was really bullied around that. And I was, I always thought that that was a bad thing until I arrived in the US. And then suddenly that was my strength. And that was something good about me. So if you're in the wrong environment, your strengths can be perceived as your weaknesses. So be aware of where you are, and not every manager is meant to manage all personality types as well. I'll say this and managers really get furious. But yeah, we are all humans. We have human emotions, and if I'm very detailed and someone is not very detailed and they're making, tiny errors all day, I will have a perceived bias around that. So be aware of your biases and be aware of your environment, and remember, at the end of the day, we are human beings with our natural emotions, and at work we're always dealing with that. I know in the 90s people were like, oh no, work and personal life separate. No, you bring yourself at work. And with COVID we saw that we are all, basically just no lines between work and personal life. So you bring yourself to work, and everybody brings themselves to work with the human emotions that they're experiencing for that very day. So be empathetic with yourself and others, and just be aware of that. Any questions? I'm looking for any questions in the chat. All right, some people really liked our session. Yeah, I'm really glad you all liked it. And I hope that you can take some of this and turn it into actionable and tangible items. So we're around if you want to come on, audio or video, ask questions. Feel free to do so. Okay, we have a question. Seham, um, regarding the feedback tip about stating the positive first, I heard conflicting opinions about this. That the sandwich feedback is an old style and we shouldn't hide the real feedback between two layers of you're doing good. So I think the idea is not to do sandwich. I agree with the sandwich approach because as soon as I do sandwich with my kids, they're like, Mom, you're doing that thing again. So people quickly figure out that you're doing the sandwich. I think the idea is that once if I tell someone, hey, Shilpi, I have some feedback for you, immediately, I don't know, depending on your personality, I'll be like, oh my God, what is it? Like, is it bad? Is it good? So, what you want to avoid is using words that generate that peak emotion on someone, because when you generate peak emotion in someone,
Mhm.
you already lost them. Anything you say after that, they're either going to fight it or flight it. So, the idea is that you make it in a non-threatening or non-violent communication that they can absorb it and they can actually hear what are you asking them to do. Does that answer your question? Okay, there's a question in Q&A. So there are several questions in Q&A.
Oh, and there are many in chat as well, actually. Oh, okay.
Shilpi, do you want to take some of these?
Yeah, I'm just going through these now.
Oh, looks like those are generic, but let's see.
I see Siham, but I think you've already answered that. So,
Okay. Yeah, and some of the folks in the chat are saying they're new in a field, and they're just starting in their career. So this, I feel like you're at this conference, attending this session, you're already at the right place. You're already doing the right stuff. So kudos to you. I had no idea when I first had my first job. I was very focused on the job. But this is great. Yeah, be part of conferences because you can take away, tiny pieces of or nuggets of wisdom that you can use throughout your life. Someone also asked, how do you have a framework of working on your core values? Shilpi, do you have any ideas on that? I personally just brainstorm and put it on the paper. And Palo Alto offers a lot of great training programs on just figuring out who you are, what are your core values as a leader. Um,
I think personally means I usually take, I do use the feedback technique to understand the core values, but then I also use strength, I've used some, tools like Strengths Finder as well,
hmm,
just to get bit better view, different views as well from that side. So, but yeah, usually I'll go for the feedback and then a combination of, formal feedback and informal feedback, and then using the tools like Strengths Finder.
awesome. Yeah, I feel like um you're so it's funny, like I put my core values as empathy in
Mhm.
after one of the trainings. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm that's my core value, and I think I want to be empathetic. And when I asked feedback from my direct reports, they rated me like maybe 25% empathetic. So your
From
perceived
a
value,
perspective.
so you can be like, thinking about yourself, in whatever way, but your perceived value is very important because, at the end of the day, what you think about yourself is important to give you motivation and keep you positive. But what others think is also the opportunity for you to, fill
Mhm,
those gaps and improve.
mhm. Definitely. And also, it's really important. That's why to get multiple views and multiple feedbacks, don't build your vision about your core values from just, one source. I think it's important to get insights and inputs from different people, different apps, different tools to actually then decide, okay, and of course, your understanding of yourself as well to decide, okay, these are my core values, these are my strengths.
Yeah, yeah. And so there was a question in a chat that can anyone with non-technical background use the tool? I'm not sure which tool someone is talking about, but yeah, I mean,
Ayesha?
so first of all, Palo Alto Networks is a company that makes products. And so there are non-technical roles and there are technical roles. We make products for cybersecurity. So if you fit at any level in the product development or sales, process, you have a place at Palo Alto Networks. I do recommend that you check out our careers page. And then if you're doing one thing, please use the special link to submit your resume, because this way your resume will be tagged. It will have priority. It'll be tagged through the conference. So please submit your resume through that. Then go look at our careers page and find yourself opportunities and apply. I think we kind of addressed all questions here.
Yeah, it looks like I can't see any new questions, so I think I've covered everything.
Awesome. Any last thoughts? All right. I guess we can wrap up. So yeah, do remember to give us a LinkedIn Connect. I dropped the link in the chat, and apply through, submit your resume through this special link that I just posted, and then check out our careers page.
Great. So I think we can wrap up. But thank you all. Thank you for joining. It's been very um,
Yeah, wonderful bunch of people.
session. Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. I'm finding the leave button.
It's right at the top, I think, top right hand side. So
Okay, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, awesome.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. It was lovely that you joined and lovely talking. Take care. Bye.
Catch you on LinkedIn. Thanks. Bye.